Elevators are the silent enablers of our city, making the rise of skyscrapers and dense apartment blocks possible. You probably use one every day without a second thought, but collectively these machines are crucial for the backbone of the urban world. In fact, Otis, the world's leading elevator company, estimates its elevators alone carry about 2 billion people daily, or a quarter of the world's population. Globally, over 21 million elevators are in operation, serving everything from office towers and residential high-rises to hospitals, hotels, and airports. This massive installed base keeps expanding. Every year, more than 1 million new elevators are installed worldwide. Urbanization is the big driver. Over half of humanity now lives in cities, a number projected to rise to 68% by 2050. It is not just the world's megacities either. Everywhere you look, mid and high-rise construction demands reliable vertical support. Elevators don't just move people, they enable denser land use, fuel real estate growth, and are vital for accessible modern living. When new towers go up or aging buildings get renovated, elevators are always part of the plan. And beyond new installations, every elevator in service represents a recurring revenue stream for the companies that keep them running. The elevator and escalator industry is highly consolidated, run by the Big Four oligopoly: Otis, Schindler, Kone, and ThyssenKrupp. Together, these giants control between 60 and 70% of the global market, especially for new equipment. For many viewers, these brands are as familiar as any tech or car company. If you've ever looked at the logo inside an elevator, chances are it is one of theirs. Otis is the largest by annual revenue, with over $14 billion in 2023 and with over 2 million units under service contract worldwide. Schindler and Kone both hover around revenues of $12 billion per year, with huge international footprints, while TK Elevator is a top player in Europe, Latin America, and part of Asia. While there are hundreds of smaller manufacturers and independent service providers worldwide, especially in local or niche segments, none rival the global reach and brand reputation of the Big Four. In the new installation segment, their dominance is even greater, capturing up to 75% of business in developed markets. One notable feature is the fragmentation on the service side. Although the Big Four dominate new installations, local independents maintain a majority of the world's elevators, especially in the maintenance of older or low-rise buildings. However, the most profitable and mission-critical contracts, think of major airports, hospitals, or skyscrapers, are always held by the Big Four, thanks to their reliability, global support, and regulatory know-how. Here's where the industry's real secret sauce lies. Recurring revenue from maintenance and repair. While selling and installing new elevators is important, it is only the beginning of a much longer, more lucrative business relationship. The core value of the elevator business is that once an elevator is installed, it needs to be maintained, inspected, and periodically upgraded, often for 30 to 40 years. And this maintenance is not optional, it is mandated by law in virtually every country, for obvious safety reasons. For the top companies, service contracts now make up over half of total revenue, an even higher share of operating profit. Otis, for example, reported that 60% of its 2023 revenue came from service and maintenance, and a staggering 85% of its operating profit came from that segment. Schindler and Kone show similar trends. Maintenance contracts typically last decades and customer retention rates hover around 90% or higher. Think of it as a massive subscription business with locked-in clients who can't afford to lapse on safety or uptime. Why is this recurring revenue so valuable? High margins. Maintenance and repair have much higher profit margins than new installations, often double or triple. Predictability. Even during economic downturns or construction slumps, buildings still need functioning elevators. Customer stickiness. Once a building is under maintenance contract, it is hard for competition to dislodge the incumbent manufacturer. Service density. With large installed bases in major cities, the Big Four can route technicians efficiently and minimize costs. This business model means the elevator industry is more stable and less cyclical than most industrial sectors. The service annuity keeps cash flowing year after year, funding dividends, buybacks, and research and development. This recurring revenue model is a textbook example of what's described in the book Quality Investing by Lawrence Cunningham as a quality business. Companies that focus on sticky, predictable cash flows, strong customer retention, and dominant service positions tend to outperform over time. Kone, one of the industry leaders, is even highlighted in quality investing as a classic case of a quality compounder, thanks to its focus on turning every new installation into a long-term, high-margin service relationship. This is the definition of a business built for durable value accretion. As Kone's CEO puts it, every new elevator we install is a new service customer for decades to come. If you're liking this so far, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next business deep dive. No modern elevator story can ignore China. For the last 2 decades, China has been the epicenter of elevator growth. Its rapid urbanization and construction boom meant that by the mid-2010s, over 60% of all new elevators globally were installed in China. The country's installed base is now over 10 million elevators, nearly half of the global total. But that rapid expansion has tapered off. Over the past 3 years, new installations in China have declined by roughly 10% annually, as the country's real estate sector slowed and the market matured. Today, China remains huge in absolute numbers, still installing more new elevators each year than any other country, but it is no longer the Wild West for elevator growth. Local Chinese brands have also captured a larger share of the market, especially for standard residential towers, intensifying price competition. For the global Big Four, China is now more about maintaining and modernizing its massive installed base than chasing new installations. The focus has shifted to capturing recurring service contracts and leveraging their technology edge in high-end and complex projects. With all this value at stake, what keeps the top players ahead of smaller firms and new entrants? The answer is a combination of scale, brand, technical expertise, and regulatory proficiency. Think about it. When you have millions of elevators under contract, like the Big Four do, you can deliver service faster and more reliable than anyone else, especially in dense urban centers where every minute counts. That scale advantage means they can route technicians efficiently, respond quickly to emergencies, and keep downtime to a minimum. But it is not just about logistics. Elevators are mission critical for safety and convenience. That's why building owners and managers almost always go with the names they know and trust, especially for high-traffic sites or complex premium buildings. The reputation these brands have built over decades becomes a moat in itself. And then there's technology. Today's elevators run on sophisticated software, use Internet of Things for remote oversight, and require advanced diagnostics. Maintaining them isn't as simple as tightening a bolt. It often needs specialized tools, proprietary parts, and know-how that only the original manufacturers can provide. Finally, the regulatory landscape is complex and ever-changing, from safety codes to inspection schedules and modernization mandates. Navigating this maze takes dedicated teams who understand local and international rules. For many building owners, a full service contract with a global brand isn't just convenient, it is the only safe and compliant option. While about 60% of the world's elevators are maintained by independents, the major original equipment manufacturers still dominate the highest value, most mission-critical contracts. And as elevators get smarter, the technical and compliance gap between the Big Four and small independents only grows. With China's new installation boom fading, where is the next chapter of elevator growth? The answer: modernization, emerging markets, and the rise of digital services. Let's start with modernization. Around the world, more than 7 million elevators are over 20 years old, and that number is climbing every year. These aging workhorses need upgrades, not just to meet the latest safety codes, but to boost energy efficiency and bring smart features into older buildings. For the major players, this is a lucrative, reputable business. Modernization projects often come with price tags that rival a brand new installation. But for building owners, they are essential investments to keep people moving safely and reliably. Of course, it is not just about performance. Sustainability is now a major selling point. In developed markets, especially energy-efficient upgrades and green modernization are in high demand, as building owners and investors look to hit ESG targets and lower operational costs. That gives the Big Four another angle to lock in long-term customer relationships, while also charging a premium for environmental performance. Then, there are the emerging markets. Urbanization is in full swing across countries like India, Indonesia, Vietnam, and throughout Africa and the Middle East. As new cities rise and population shift into high-rises, the demand for elevators and all the maintenance contracts that comes with them continues to accelerate. India alone is expected to see its elevator market double by 2032, growing at a healthy clip of over 8% per year. And finally, there's the digital revolution in elevator service. Thanks to the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, remote monitoring and diagnostics are becoming the norm. That means issues can be detected and resolved before they can become real problems, keeping downtime to a minimum. These technologies are also unlocking new service models, uptime guarantees, predictive maintenance plans, even premium analytics for building managers. All this makes the service side of business more efficient, more profitable, and more valuable to customers than ever before. And as the industry evolves, one thing remains constant: consolidation. The Big Four are continuously acquiring small independents to grow their installed base and expand their service networks, tightening their grip on the market and reinforcing their moats. The bottom line? The industry's true strength lies in those steady, predictable service revenues and its ability to reinvent itself for a changing world. For investors and industry insiders alike, elevators remain one of the quietest but most reliable growth stories in the modern economy.